Thank you very much, and lovely to be here today and to share some of our experiences as rural business advisors. We're a bit different really because we are rural business advisors and trainers, but we've also run care farming projects ourselves. And really we started looking at how farmers could diversify and really went from there, and it's just sort of grown in very much in the last few years. Better move over so Nick can press the button. So this is what we do. Our company's called Growing Rural Enterprise, and we help rural businesses to start, develop and grow.
So just to move on a bit really about what a care farming is. Care farm are farms where people can go onto woodlands, horticultural areas, by rivers, small woodland areas, heath, market gardens, basically to improve people's well-being. And there's lots of research showing that when we get closer to the countryside, we feel better, and there's no arguments about that. So that's just a bit of a summary about what care farming is. People say to us when we go out to set a new farm up and say, what do people do all day? You know, there's that many things to do on farms and woodland areas and so on. They can get into the daily routine of what they actually do on the farm. So you're feeding, you're milking, collecting eggs, potting. We do a lot of horticultural work and so on as well. But there's absolutely masses that can be done on a farm. And it's not about creating jobs for the sake of it. These need to be realistic jobs that people do and actually meaningful jobs. So we don't move one pile of muck from one side of the farm to the other and move it back the following day. We do something that the farmer actually wants, so it gives people a sense of self-worth. And then again, we can provide a journey. We work a lot with the NHS, and we take people who are suffering from poor mental health and come on a journey with us through the Wellies Project, which I'll explain a bit shortly. And often the farms, you all struggles with NHS saying, you want to take people recovering from poor mental health onto farms? Do you know how dangerous they are? So you have to address things like that. But, once we put a few policies in place, do the risk assessments, farms are safe and places to be, and a definite stimulating place and a happy place.
So what resources do we need? Very often people say, I can't have people onto the farm, I haven't got anything, what have I got? Really all you need is a base building, somewhere that's dry and warmish, but we always tell people it's cold, so wrap up, bring your layers, and we always have loads of layers that people can put on as well. And we've known people, there's a guy in the Wye Forest that did it very successfully, and he had an old catering wagon that he just dragged around from orchard to orchard. He didn't even use the same permanent building. Electricity, water boiler, slow cooker. We're in an estate building, and they're very keen that we don't cook. I think we're going to, I don't know what they think we're going to do. I think we're going to burn the place down. So we do soups in slow cookers, an induction hob. It can be very, very simple, but something warm is really, really good. And a small area where people can grow things in raised beds, and it really whets people's appetite to go and grow things themselves, which we feel is really important. That connection with the land and just sort of realising how good they feel from growing their own food. Toilet or portaloo, again, doesn't need to be anything grand. It can just be a hired-in portaloo and washing facilities. Tools, but it's amazing when you actually put out an appeal. Has anybody got any old garden tools? You really don't need very, very much at all, and you can start off with something quite small. And a bit of storage really for tools and clothing, but it really doesn't need to be grand, and it doesn't need to be purpose-built. It can just be really, really working with what you've got. And just some materials, some pots, some trays, some compost, some containers. But some of the best fun we've had is when we've not had very much actually, and we've really, we've been making pots from newspapers and things like that. So you really don't need very much at all. Old pallets, recycled wood, bird boxes, trays. We've made raised beds from all sorts of different things. And again, that brings out people's creativity.
Yeah, just some more resources. We can't get people obviously going out wrestling with a Limousin bull on the farm. We need to do things where we've perhaps got some calves they can deal with, or some piglets that can move around. And chickens, 5 chickens, you wouldn't believe what it does to a group of 10 or 15 people recovering from poor mental health. They may have never ever touched a chicken before, and to go and collect an egg and then make a cake or something later on the day, makes a magnificent and significant effect on their well-being. So don't underrate the simple things you might have around on the farm. Hedgerows, we're always out in the hedgerows collecting bits and bobs and making items, and we're doing conservation work, again, in line with what the farmer wants. We don't just go out and fiddle about in the hedgerow. If he wants gapping up or he wants some edge laying, then we get a professional person in or a trained person in to actually carry that out, so we do meaningful tasks. Health and safety policies, we all love these, and risk assessments. We provide all these to the farmer because we train farmers up. So we go in there with the policies, because first thing we say is health and safety policy. We can't possibly have people on the farm. We can't do this. We can't do that. And they put their own barriers up to accepting care farming. You need public liability, of course, which most people have. A vulnerable person and safeguarding policy that we provide to farmers, and we quite freely give it out. A positive and motivating group lead. You know, we don't want the people to turn up on the farm and again, oh, the milk price is terrible this week and price of fertiliser's gone up. And, you know, you need to present yourself because you're leading by example. You know, you may have been having a dire day and you like to get on the soapbox about it, but you've got to be a positive lead. A dog, non-biting variety. Dogs are extremely important in care farming, believe it or not. A lot of the people who come to us may live in a city where they're not allowed to have a pet, or they had a pet when they were a child. It brings back childhood memories. They communicate with dogs. And sometimes when people won't communicate with people, we've got 2 Jack Russells that we put in the room and we walk away. And the Jack Russells, they start having the conversations through the dogs. So it's a fascinating thing using dogs, and we do quite a lot of work with dog therapy. You can check out on our website.
You can pick a group up in the morning in the minibus, and you can see the first time they're really afraid, and you can see them having a bit of a conversation with themselves as to whether they're going to get on the minibus and go to the farm or not. But the Jack Russells absolutely just dispel everything because they're a bit naughty and sort of in everybody's handbag looking for sandwiches and things. And people just start and laugh at that, and it really breaks the ice. It's very good.
Yeah, it's difficult with people who really feel anxious to turn up a room and start doing the normal ice breaking, but you know, Jack Russell having a wheel, the minibus wheel is a great one to get people talking. More resources for yourselves really as taking on care farming. Food hygiene certificate, you can get them online now. A couple of hours, £35, so that's not really a barrier. CVAS, which you can do, which is Countryside Educational Visits Accreditation Scheme, which is done through Care Farming UK, that runs you through the basics of how to run a care farming activity and how to tick all the boxes to make sure you're following risk assessments and so on. First aid provision, again, you know, a basic first aid provision on farm. Rainy day plan, always have a plan B just in case it is absolutely pouring down. On these days we tend to do a bit more cooking or something like that, or we will work indoors, do some DIY. We could be painting inside of buildings, doing up a pigsty, lots of different activities.
Always something to take home. We like people to be able to take something home. Very often, if they're at home and they're not well, the main topic of conversation is their illness or their medication. So it's brilliant if they can actually take something back into the home, something to talk about, something that they can show the children how to do. One guy said to us a few weeks ago that he feels that he's really gone up in his children's estimation since he's been coming to the project, because he can now show them how to do different things. He's no longer the ill person, he's the person that goes out to Wellies Project and comes home. You need a partner. Care farming is very, very difficult to do on your own as a farmer or market garden. We use the NHS as our partner for 2 reasons really. One is we know that the people who come with them, they've got staff with them. And the other reason is we need to educate the NHS about farming and how to work with farmers and so on. So we work closely with the NHS. Difficult to get going, but we have a strategy of keep knocking and knocking and keep knocking. We've actually written a sort of one side of A4, what you can expect from us and what we expect from you for the staff that are accompanying the service users, because I think they're a bit, they really don't know what to do with themselves, they don't know what's right or wrong. So we actually just do this very simple few bullet points. And then the final point in there is ability to write applications. You won't carry on care farming
just by sitting waiting for people to turn up with money in their hand. You've got to go out and write applications or use somebody else to write applications to work with. We've done it in the past where we work with partners. They've written the applications, we've delivered, or we've written applications, they've delivered. Lots of flexibility. Keys to success, when you do care farming, slow everything right down on the day. You know, you can write a big list of jobs, what you want doing for the day and what you're going to do, but things have to be really slow on care farms to just nurture the people throughout the day and take a nice, because don't forget they're there to relax and improve their well-being.
We certainly don't want people to go home feeling stressed, and if we're sort of permanently sort of moving them from one activity to the next, then they are going to get stressed. So it's really about allowing people time to just sit and talk and reflect if they want to. Really about being flexible on the day, I guess.
And using what you have, you know, we've got lots of things lying around on farms, recycling, natural produce, underutilised areas. And people say to me, what do I need to, size area do you need to care farm? Well, we've just done some care farming. We had just over 1/2 acre of woodland. We spent 10 weeks in there. We created a fairy tree, a fairy castle. We have 10 beetle banks in there, lots of conservation work gone in there. You know, so you don't need a great deal, and everything was a positive for us and nature and conservation. I've already mentioned a useful and meaningful task to help you. Don't do things for free. That's my business head on, if you like. You know, you can have as many people on your farm every day of the week free of charge. Well, that's not what it's about. It's about getting some sustainable income for you on the farm. And your time has a value. You know, if you look at the statistics of what farmers actually earn, they are on less than minimum wage. But actually, you're probably worth, I don't know, 18 to 30 pounds an hour with your skills that you've got. And you've got to value that into care farming. Be flexible. You don't have to do care farming 7 days a week. You can do it 1 day a week, 1 afternoon a week, just during the summer, just during holidays and so on. And as farmers, save your jobs for a particular day. You know, don't rush all your jobs. Save them for actually a day where you're doing the care farming. So you know on Wednesday you want all the chickens cleaning out or whatever, or the barn cleaning out. Save the jobs for that day. And don't underestimate how interested people are on the farm. We find it fascinating that people come to the farms we manage and run, and they're so interested in the lives of a chicken. You might think oh, chickens are just a chicken, but to them, if they've never come across them, they've never touched one, they've never looked at the hygiene of them, the cleaning out, how many eggs they can produce. It's a fascinating story that the farmer can use, and it really is accepted by the groups. And then those of you in any any environmental schemes, make sure you get your educational access forms out. You know, if you're on a scheme, you can get paid £100 or whatever it is, slightly gone up now, to have visits on the farm. So utilise them.
And how to start is just basically get your area ready, decide where you're going to use, just get it ready, prepare your policies, make sure you've got all of your policies, get support, partnership, lots of guidance, and just have a go at it. You don't have to do it forever. You know, you can literally just have a go, test the water, and see how it goes.
And then if you're looking for support, there's a Care Farming UK site. They can go on there and they've got all the care farms listed in the UK. They've got support materials and so on. So there's a website for you to look at.
And some very good case studies about different sorts of care farms, because of course there are care farms to suit all sorts of people with various needs.
Income, people just always say to us how much you get for care farming. Well, at the moment it's whatever you can get, but the target is in between £40 and £60 per person per day. That's what you're looking at to achieve. Between 15 and 20 people. Obviously, if you've got different needs, we have some care farms that just do one-to-one. So there's obviously a different pricing range for that. So it's all different, depends on your target group, but they all come with different budgets. But £50 to £60 is your range you should be looking at to get an income for the farm. We tend to break it down that the farm gets around £350 for the farm for the day. There's £150 for a member of farm staff. There's external staff. About £180 for a minibus that we put into grants. So basically a day usually costs around £1,000 to £1,200.
This is our project, the Wellies Project, that we started after sort of looking at care farming and being really fascinated by it for many years. We had the opportunity to put together a project ourselves for the first time in 2009, and we've run them ever since. We've had over 850 attendees over this period of time. We've used 10 different farms around Staffordshire and Derbyshire, and in doing that we've trained the farmers at the same time in how to do care farming. We've led to start with, and then we've gradually eased off until they're actually confident at running things themselves. Our people, when they've attended Wellies Project, report 98% of them report an improvement in their well-being compared to 30% from other day services. So it is really does have an impact, and it's 1/5 of the cost of other day services.
And that's not, we haven't just written that up last night. This came from, actually, we got followed by a doctor of psychology from Kew University who analysed all the people who came through there, because we knew if we were going to go back to the NHS and say we want some money for care farming and for the farming community, we needed to prove it. So that's why we've got those stats. Just to give you an idea about Wellies, there's Wellies Education, Laughter, Learning, Inspiration, Environment and Skills. And at the end of the day, we always go back to that and say, did we improve people's wellness? Did they have some education mainly about food? Did they have a laugh? Did they learn? Were they inspired? Did we work in the environment? And did they get some new skills? And then the Wellies programme, usually 1 day a week over 10 weeks. Usually 10 o'clock till 3 o'clock, because you have to remember the client group may be on medication or not that used to getting up in the morning, so you need to give them a bit of flexible times either end of the day, plus childcare. 2 activities in the morning, 2 in the afternoon. Everybody always prepares lunch together from the produce off the farm. We integrate speakers into the programme about healthy living, volunteering, and it is participants, it's user-led. So we're always asking for feedback about what they want and what they want to achieve.
We have got some funding through the Prince's Countryside Fund, which we're very fortunate to have, to do any one-to-one mentoring with anyone that's interested in care farming. We're based in South Derbyshire, so you'd need to come to us if you wanted one-to-one, or we're happy to have a chat with you over the phone.
Yeah, or, you know, if you buy arrangement, come and have a bit of a mentoring session, but come and see our Wellies in action. Come on a Wellies Day and see what we do. Yeah, not all of you at the same time.
You'd be very welcome, but yeah, not everybody at the same time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.